What's up? It's Alexander Madison, running back from the Minnesota Vikings, and you're watching Clock Management.
Knocked down. Oh, he caught it! Oh, unbelievable! This is amazing. So you played in the NFL. What's longer, a half or 5/8? Or 5/8 is a little longer there, Joe.
Your team is now on the clock. Guys, it's Super Bowl Sunday. I'm super excited. I'm a 49ers fan, so I'm ready to get this going. We got an awesome crew together for you guys for our Super Bowl show. I'm so excited to roll this out for you guys. Make sure you leave comments. We're going to be choosing people out of the comments, and we're giving away an autographed Tyreek Hill jersey and an autographed David Montgomery football. So make sure you're leaving comments. Stay active in there. And at some point during the show, we'll let you know if you won. We'll be down there in the comments too. So enjoy the show and go Niners. Welcome everybody. So we're here with our first guest for the Super Bowl game pregame show. We got Edwin, better known as the Fantasy Student Doc or
FF Student Doc. Come on, man.
I couldn't remember if the words were written out. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, FF
I can't
Student
say Student
Doc
Doc much longer, though. I'm graduating in May.
Oh,
So
man.
I got to milk the brand while I can. Then I got to rebrand, which is going to be a pain in the ass. Can I say ass?
We'll bleep it out, but yes.
Got it.
I mean, it's not Friday, but it's Super Bowl. So, I mean, we're drinking over here. What you guys got to drink?
I've had this on the show before. It's a sour for modern times. It's called Fruitlands. It's really tropical. It's fruity, just like me.
I'm drinking a Corona.
Oh, nice.
Getting back to my roots tonight, apparently, huh?
I'm drinking a Legion, the Men's Room Gold.
Oh.
That sounds literally terrible.
No, it's delicious.
Men's Room Gold. Think about that.
I thought about it. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Their
Yeah,
Men's Room
got it.
red ale is really good. So
Yeah, I'm not
give it a
huge into
chance.
red ales, but
I know.
Interesting, to say the least.
But yeah, so obviously since we got the Student Doc here talking, we're going to be talking about injuries first of all. I'm so happy you came on to talk to us about this because some of these injuries, as we were just talking about, I can't even pronounce, let alone tell you what it is. So
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for coming on again, though. By the way, just before we jump the shark here, this is your second time on the show. Really appreciate it, man.
your sophomore appearance.
I appreciate you having me twice.
Yeah. So not a ton of huge injuries going into this game for either team. Obviously, there's the big one that we'll kick it off with, to use Justin's joke. Tevin Coleman, big injury last week, didn't play any of the game. Dislocated shoulder, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like he may play. He's been running on the sidelines, which as far as I know, with any shoulder injury, especially dislocation, running at the bouncing, the laxness in the shoulder is probably painful. But if he's able to run, that's probably a good sign, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and the coach said today he is playing.
Oh.
Yeah, I really did expect it. I wrote about it earlier. I think it was last week?
Yeah.
My weeks are running together here. I expected him to play just because I sort of talked about it too on the podcast I do on Fridays or Saturdays. But so he dislocated his shoulder. We confirmed it. He basically, they put it back in. They reduced it. The return to play time for shoulder injuries, for dislocations, is actually only about 2 to 3 weeks. It
really?
sounds nuts. It sounds crazy. But unless it's the end of the season, and with the caveat being you're not in the playoffs for the Super Bowl, or if the damage to the labrum, which is a connective tissue that holds shoulder in, if it's not super crazy, then a lot of times these players will play through it. So he's definitely at a risk for re-injury. Could he carry the ball? Could he play and get snap share? Anything's possible, But
yeah.
just given the fact that they have like the world's deepest backfield, and he hasn't been taking reps. He's wearing a non-contact jersey. His physician, I don't want to speak for his physician because I wasn't there in the room, but the surgeon was probably like, listen, dude, he either said, you don't need surgery, let's do some rehab, you can play in the Super Bowl. Or he said, listen, dude, you probably need surgery. We can either do it now and you miss the Super Bowl, or you can just play through it. And, given that the physician doesn't think that, anything too crazy is at risk, like a blood vessel rupture or nerve or something, he's basically probably said, if it's a Super Bowl, if you want to play with a dislocated shoulder or with a torn labrum during the Super Bowl, I wouldn't blame you. So those are the two spectrums of, those are all basically, any way you slice it, he was probably going to play. But will he be productive? Hard to say.
Yeah. I completely agree with you, especially with the deep backfield. I don't know why they would have to risk giving him the ball, 20 times when they've got two other guys that they could give it to 15 times each, and they're both productive. So.
Really, 3. They got Richie James back there too. That I mean, they used him 1 week in the middle of the season, just like crazy.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on here. Next on the list, we got D Ford. He's got a hamstring that he re-aggravated kind of in mid to late December. Generally with hamstrings, the first thing I worry about is the ACL, but I'll let you kind of take it off. You think there's going to be an issue with D Ford?
I think that when you have an edge rusher, it matters. For a hamstring injury matters because of the quick sort of pushing off the leg that he needs to bend and extend the knee. The hamstring cord to bend the knee. I don't know. I'd have to look at a snap share. I probably should have done that. But I'm curious how many snaps he played and what his snap shares looks like. They can manage it, definitely. And I feel like this is going to be the theme with all these injuries is like, well, if they can go, they're going to go because it's a Super Bowl. But again, how effective he'll be is another question on its own, and how many snaps he'll play is another question on its own. But if he gets, a good amount of work in, and I'll actually look right now, 49ers practice report, if he gets a good amount of work in and he's not necessarily limited, then I wouldn't see why he would be limited during the game. But as I pull up the 49ers practice report here, I see that which is crazy because they only have Quan Alexander, Tevin Coleman, and I can't say the name either, Jaquiski Tart. So the crazy part is that he's not on the injury report. So I don't think that it's going to really limit him in any significant way.
Yeah. Great. Another big defensive name for the 49ers, Quan Alexander, returning off of IR for the torn pec. Man, I don't know if you guys have ever seen somebody tear a pec while like lifting. It's pretty insane.
I've seen videos. Yeah.
The rebound into the chest. It's pretty wild. I mean, do you even think they're going to use him all that much? Pulling him. I mean, he just came off IR. So
this is his second week back, second game back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a second game back, and I don't think that he's necessary. So he's been a limited participant, like for the NFC Championship, he was limited, and then he's been limited this week. But I wouldn't see why they'd pull any punches. It is a pretty significant tear just because the pec muscle it spans across your entire chest. So it's a big muscle. But once you get that under control, once whether he had surgery or which probably I think he did, once you put that muscle back, you generally shouldn't have issues with it again. So again, it's a Super Bowl. They need that defense at full force. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a full allotment of snaps for D Ford.
Right.
For Quan Alexander.
Or did I Quan Alexander?
Quan Alexander. Yeah. Let's jump over to the Chiefs side of the ball. Tyreek Hill, obviously he's been back from his injury for a long time now with that dislocated sternoclavicular.
Yeah,
but
that's what I was gonna say.
Nice.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, Tyreek's production this year since the injury has been a little hit or miss, or even kind of, I would almost say, underwhelming. Even when he hits, it hasn't been a very big hit, I guess we could put it that way. Do you think that the injury is playing a part of that? Do you think it's just that has something to do, football factor rather than the injury factor?
Yeah, no, I don't think that it has anything to do with. I mean, I could be wrong, of course. I'm not there every day. I don't think it has much to do with the dislocation itself, because once they got that under control, once he did rehab, once he stabilized, it really hasn't necessarily been something that has bothered him. I don't think, but I do think that it has been more so about scheme. It's been more so about. I mean, I think Travis Kelce, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Travis Kelce's numbers have actually gone up at the same time period, sort of towards the end of the season. So I think he's getting a lot more work. I think Damian Williams really came on strong towards the end of the season. To be quite frank, I just don't think they've really needed him, because like you said, he's put up numbers, and he's had, he's sort of popped. He's popped a few times during the playoffs, but they, other than the Titans game or the Texans game when they were down 24, they didn't really need him. So, yeah, I just think it's more of a scheme thing.
Yeah, for sure. Pat Mahomes is the next guy we got to talk about, and obviously his injury happened week 7 with the dislocated kneecap. Are you surprised that he's come back so strong and running the ball specifically a lot?
I can't say I'm necessarily surprised. It is funny that I think it was after he came back. When was that Chargers game in Mexico? Was that after he got injured or before?
I would have to check that. I can check for you real quick.
Oh, no worries. It's not the big deal. But it's interesting because he definitely started running the ball more after the fact. But it's sort of similar to Tyreek's injury, to where once you get that thing reduced and you establish that the cartilage underneath the kneecap wasn't, crazy damaged, and the muscles weren't crazy damaged, and there wasn't he didn't have like a fracture or anything. Mm-hmm. It was just sort of a freak injury. You reduce it, you put the joint back in place, you stabilize the muscles around it, you let the ligaments heal, you reestablish some muscle connection, and even though he definitely is at risk more so than somebody who hasn't dislocated a kneecap, the relative risk is higher, but like the overall risk for him to re-dislocate again is pretty low. So yeah, I'm not too surprised. I can't say.
Interesting. Justin, I've taken over here. You want to do the last one?
Sure. Yeah. So the Chiefs offensive lineman, Andrew Wiley, I know he's been struggling with a few lower leg injuries. I was just gonna see what your thoughts on him, if he is you thought he'd be a full go or maybe a partial. Or
I think that so first of all, the thing that with offensive linemen, what we have to worry about, or not, I shouldn't say worry about necessarily, but what you consider is that they do a lot of they're in the position where they're sort of crouched over a lot. Their knees are bent, their ankles are bent. They're in a position that you're very prone to getting like an MCL, like knee issues. You're very prone to getting even a little bit of meniscal issues. You're prone to getting high ankle sprains, just because that's the mechanism for high ankle sprains, where your ankle sort of bends and then you have compression down through the foot. So those are all the things that offensive linemen are at risk for. So to say, like, is he, because he has been battling, he's been battling these injuries the entire season. But I can't really tell you, again, because there's such little reporting on offensive linemen. We don't really know, we don't really know exactly what's going on. We don't know how severe it is.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's one of those things that it's almost like, does it matter? Like, how much does it actually matter? I think that Patrick Mahomes is capable of getting out of the pocket when he needs to. And obviously it matters to an extent. But to the point where like, even if he's playing through something relatively significant, I don't really see him making that big of an impact either way. And I don't see him on the practice report. He's not on the practice report right now. So
yeah,
I think it's pretty inconsequential, long story short.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I was trying to look up this injury earlier. We were actually talking about it, and it's like kind of frustrating when you go look for stuff like this. It's like ankle injury or foot injury.
Oh,
I'm like,
what
does that mean? Does he have a broken foot? Is there a bone broken, or did he stub his toe?
Injury analysis on the Patriots, man. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
There were like 3 separate reports this preseason on N'Keal Harry. One of them said foot, the other said ankle, one of them said lower leg, and one of them said thigh.
Yeah.
It's like, well, those are all 3 separate regions of the body. It's the worst.
Yeah. They're like, we don't really care what you think.
Yeah, basically.
Oh man,
Do you have any predictions on who wins?
God, man, this is a tough one.
Try
This
not
is
to
a
be
tough one.
biased.
Trying my best to not be biased.
And to be clear, you do want the Chiefs to win, right? That's what you want.
I do.
Okay.
I'm not like a super Chiefs fan, but I'm in the area. I grew up in Kansas. Like I'm a casual, lazy Chiefs fan.
Sure.
That's what I would call myself. So I am rooting for them to move on. The thing is, if they get started the way they did against the Titans, the Titans or the Texans, I mean, especially the Texans.
Yeah.
Even Patrick Mahomes is not going to come back from, and if they're ripping off 6, 7, 8-yard runs with Raheem Mostert milking that clock, even Patrick Mahomes is going to have a hard time bringing them back from a large enough deficit. I think that it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be a close game, and ultimately, I remember so annoyingly how often I would. So in high school, oh God, let me bring it back to myself here, a washed up athlete. I played basketball in high school. I didn't even play in college, but I would play defense. I was a defensive guy. I wasn't very offensively talented, but I always played really good defense. And my friends would joke with me, and my coach would joke with me. Anytime that like a good offensive player would just go off and score or go nuts or something, they just shrug their shoulders, be like, good offense always beats good defense. And I sort of feel like this is the case. I think that if this game is tight enough, it's really going to be just a case of a better offense. The Chiefs, in my opinion, are going to put up points. I think any way you slice it, the Chiefs offense is better than the 49ers defense. That's not a knock on the 49ers. I just think overall the Chiefs are better at what they do on offense than the Niners are what they do on defense. So I think this really is going to be a game for the Chiefs, but I think it'll be close.
Okay. Right on. So we'll wrap it up there, but before we go, Edwin, tell everybody where they can find you and what you've been up to lately.
Yeah, so currently I am at FF Student Doc still for another few months till I pass my boards, fingers crossed. And you can find me there. Right now I'm just getting started with the Undroppables, is the at Undroppables, or at the Undroppables. One of the two, I don't remember. I think it's the. So we're putting out new content. I'm super humbled to be hanging out with those guys. Be mentioned in the same Twitter account as those guys. They're all great guys. Put out solid content, so you can find us there. And it's in my bio. So just go to @FFStudentDoc.
Great,
awesome, man. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it, man. And
thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll definitely get you back on the show before the start of the season.
Please do. Trifecta.
What up, everybody? This is Clock Management here with Smitty from the Fantasy Football Show. Smitty, what you been up to? What's new with you?
God, man, just trying to. I've got so many fires going constantly. You know, my Instagram handle and that work I do on Instagram alone is like a 40-hour, work week for me, and YouTube is like I don't even know how I can have so many 40-hour work weeks in my week.
Yeah, I feel you, man.
Yeah, it's just I'm chewing off so much more than I can, biting off so much more than I can chew. Yeah, great.
But yeah, we got some news about your 96-man league. You want to tell everyone about that real quick once again, and then just break the news?
Yeah, let me get my cane. Hold on.
Yes.
Okay, you don't talk about the pimp league, the cane. Okay. So a bit of news. So for those that don't know, I've created a 96-team league. No, it's not a bunch of different leagues where I manually tally up all the scores. It's one league, it's one division, and when you go to the league homepage, you will see 96 teams in one division. No schedule. It's total point league. You can't play a schedule with that many teams. And is my cane in the way?
Oh, it's perfect.
But it's a mix of followers and a mix of pages. The plan was, my cane keeps getting in the way.
The cane is never in the
was
way.
to allow this draft to start during the NFL Super Bowl, but there's a little bit of a hang up on that because a lot of the league management sites out there aren't quite 2020 ready to go to handle that kind of league. So we may be doing the draft order live during right at like halftime or something.
Okay.
So I will let you guys know the details on the actual start time. Expect that. But past that, you have any questions for me about the league? It's a 1 QB, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex, 1 tight end. As of right now, I think there's no kicker in D. I might throw the defense in there. I'll give you plenty of time before you have to draft. Sorry, my phone was freaking out there. I'm not really commissioning. I'm not going to be a commissioner much of. There's nothing to commish. It's a rolling waiver order. I'm not going to intervene in anything. Somebody drops a player, too bad. It's your fault. If you fall asleep during the draft or you get auto picked twice in a row, you go on auto pick, too bad. Like, that's your own fault. There's plenty of opportunity to pre-rank. You could pre-rank your entire draft, and there's no excuse for that. So really, there's nothing that will be needed on my end. I'm not going to go in and do anything. But I hear we have a winner.
We do, yeah, from Clock Management.
Yeah. Do you want me to announce?
Yeah, you go ahead and throw it out there.
Brady Switzer.
Yeah,
Is he Brady? Please step forward. I'm going to anoint you. I'm going to have you repeat after me. I promise to be the best pimp I can, and I will promote the league at every turn, and I will leave no pimp behind. Please recite that after me, and you are now in the battle of the pimps, young man.
I am going to grab the video of this and make him do that and put them together.
Yes, he needs to watch like a reaction video and definitely recite that. And then I want him to slap himself across the face so that he remembers it, because that's what they do when they knight you. They give you a good old whap, and they say that's so you'll remember your oath.
I did not know that.
Welcome, Brady. Brady, I get his name right. Brady, Brian, whatever. Welcome to the league.
And good luck.
Yeah, good luck. All right, I'll put the pimp cane away. But I'm excited about the league.
All right, but so today, this our Super Bowl pre-show. So we're going to talk a little bit about. I know you're huge on quarterback early strategy, and since we're breaking down by position with each one of our guests, I figured I'm going to throw the QBs your way, and we'll also tie in the tight ends here.
Okay, and let me preface: I'm not necessarily pro QB early. I'm pro everything.
Absolutely.
And I think too many people.
You're more not anti QB late.
Right. I do go QB early, but I also draft in a lot of leagues, so I try out a lot of different strategies, and there are multiple ways to win. So
I have seen you scold people for going QB too early. Yes, I will say that.
You can go too early QB for me. But the whole point of my QB early argument is that it is ridiculous when somebody says taking a QB early is a mistake. It's ridiculous when somebody says if you want to lose, that's a recipe to lose.
Absolutely. I mean, I like taking QBs late, but I have breaking points. If this QB falls to this point, I don't care. Like, I'm drafting him.
But even if your breaking point, let's say you play in 1 or 2 leagues and your breaking point might be different. Like for me, my breaking point's a lot higher because I play in 14 leagues, which I hope to remedy.
Yeah, I was in 12 this last year, and I'm bringing that down to probably 8 next year.
Yeah. So if you do that many leagues, your range for trying things out, it widens. So for me, if I played in 1 league, I probably would still consider going QB early, but it definitely had me be more cautious for taking a QB because that's my 1 league. So for Billy Bob 12 out there that screams at me and says, Smitty, I can't believe you're giving advice to people to take a QB early. Are you stupid? The bottom line is you can build multiple ways. The honest truth is, where did you draft Mahomes and Lamar? Late. So if you waited on a QB and you're good at that, and you can land those Lamars and you can land the Pat Mahomes, then by all means, QB late is the way to go for you. But to make a blanket statement to somebody and go, guys, QB early, stupid. Well, what about?
I always tell people 100% depends on your league.
Yeah. What about Steve in accounting in your league that knows what he's doing with these late wide receivers and running back breakouts? He drafted Chark. This year he's going to draft AJ Brown. Yeah. And so he knows what he's doing. He can take a QB early. Sorry, I had a call coming in.
No problem.
He can take a QB early because he knows he's going to land that wide receiver or running back late, where other people are taking their stab at that QB late. So it's just a dumb argument that people make when they're like, you do it and it's a recipe for disaster. So I will, in some leagues, like Pat Mahomes before his last game was third in some people's minds, crazy, but fourth round, fifth round value. Like people would come out of the woodwork saying, Patrick Mahomes, I wouldn't take him to the fourth or fifth. And then other people like, I'd take him in the second. A lot of people are, I'll take him at the top of the third. Yeah. Probably would have before his last game leveled out if I had to predict ADP data, which we don't have our hands on yet, anything good, really. It would have been third round. Now, after his last game, Patrick Mahomes is being talked about as not only where Lamar was sitting, which was like 12 to 15 overall, he's ahead of Lamar in a lot of people's minds after one freaking game. I'm not saying it's not justifiable. I had Mahomes secretly, ranked higher than Lamar, even though Lamar, God, I want to own him in at least one league.
No, man, I mean, yeah, we'll talk about this more, but with Patrick Mahomes, for me, I love it. If I'm looking at stats, I probably would just put him above Lamar, but because of that knee injury, it does concern me a little bit, so his risk is slightly higher to me than Lamar's.
It probably shouldn't be. I mean, anything can happen, but I have a doctor and a physical therapist on my show every Saturday, pretty much on YouTube. And we've extensively talked about this topic, and literally he has zero concern moving forward with his kneecap. It basically came out of its socket, the kneecap, and got popped back in. There are ligaments that hold down your kneecap into place, almost like holding a canopy over a boat or something, a tarp over a boat. And it just needs to make sure that those re-strengthen, or they get to where they need health-wise, so that they're not loose and that kneecap can't slide back out. But he literally did a whole thing. We talked about it.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't worry about his knee. I wouldn't worry about that happening again. Now, do I worry about both Lamar and Mahomes running a lot? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
And in Dynasty,
I want to say one more than the other.
Yeah, I don't go near Lamar at some of the values I see him go at. Like,
oh man, I traded him in my Dynasty this year at the end of the year.
If I can't sell high, I'm keeping Lamar and I'm riding the wave out in Dynasty, but I'm not going to draft him at 10 overall or 8 overall in a Dynasty because he's a running quarterback. And Mike Vick, you could say comparable in terms of how much value he had. I don't know if a lot of everyone listening and watching now played fantasy football during the Mike Vick days, but he was he was number 1 overall in a lot of formats that year, coming out of his big breakout year.
You're showing our age.
You what?
You're showing our age here.
Yeah, I've been doing this longer than most of you have been shitting outside your pants. So, Kurt Warner, Culpepper, Kurt Warner, those were all first and third and second overall picks in fantasy football. And while people will laugh and go, well, that was before this draft to QB late. Well, look what Lamar's kind of stirred up.
Absolutely.
People are considering. You have a lot of people saying I wouldn't touch Lamar until the third or fourth round, which is dumb to say because he'd never last that long. But then you have other people that would literally take him number 4 overall, number 2 overall, which also is very, very high. I wouldn't call it crazy or dumb because, if he's healthy, he's like a running back and a quarterback, like everybody says. But at the same time with Mahomes was a 10 to 12 pick later grab until his last game, which was the player to get in 2020 is Mahomes because he's a whole round later. But now everybody's going to have, depending on this game.
Yeah, exactly. Depending on this game.
Yeah, I don't think a bad game is going to really knock him out of the value he's probably going to level in at now. But
I think it'll lower him some just because it's the last taste people have in their mouth. But if
like Lamar.
Yeah, exactly. If he were to have an outstanding game, then that's not good if you're trying to draft him.
Right.
But I want to talk on this game real quick though. So obviously we got Patrick Mahomes against Jimmy G. I don't think these are two comparable quarterbacks here on these two teams because it's completely different playing styles. I mean, Mahomes, I expect him to be a beast. And Jimmy G, I expect him to manage a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about Jimmy G? Like, do you think quarterback wise, is he a good quarterback to you?
Yeah, I really liked him coming out of college, small college. A lot of people didn't really see him coming. He landed in New England, landed in the spot where, he was going to get a little attention, but people didn't really know how good he was. He's a good QB. But fantasy wise, he's sitting in an environment that's never going to make him a top, 5 to 7 QB. Could he dance in the top 10 here and there? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, on week to week, I would say.
Yeah, and Debo is going to get better. They're a good team, but they're more defensive minded.
It's like an old school team, defense and running the ball.
Yeah, I look at it like this. I mean, again, people probably don't even remember this game. People probably didn't even know football was even taking place back when the Ravens won the Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer. But Dilfer was similar in a way in that he's the manager of that game. The only difference is Jimmy G, if he was elsewhere, would probably be a whole hell of a lot better than Dilfer would have been. I think Jimmy G in the right environment, like put him in Arizona, let's say, I think Jimmy G would actually produce, 7 to 10 fantasy QB numbers. But where he's at now, it's like he could have a big game if they need it, and then he's going to have a bunch of manageable games where his stats are real low. So for this game, it wouldn't surprise me if he had comparable numbers to Mahomes because Mahomes is facing a really tough defense. This game comes down to defense and special teams. And if it really comes down to KC's defense and special teams. If KC can do something magical in the very beginning of the game, whether it be through special teams, kickoff return, a weird fumble Tevin Coleman, I don't know the stat. I think Tevin Coleman was trying to get back to playing.
Yeah, he should be playing.
So if Tevin Coleman drops the ball because he's worried about, his injury or whatever, and he's not 100%, and then the Chiefs put up and take it house, then I think we're in a situation where Kansas City has a real shot. If Kansas City doesn't get on the board early, it's going to be hard for Mahomes. Not impossible. He's Mahomes. Yeah. To march back against this defense if San Francisco has even a 7 to 10 point lead. It could be one of those games where it's like 10-0 at halftime, or the first quarter is over and it's 0-0.
Absolutely.
Or 3-0.
And then go 3. And they could look a lot different in the second half too. That wouldn't surprise me either because they're both these coaches are great at making adjustments too.
Yeah. Or both defenses could have a touchdown by the end of the first quarter.
I've been telling people that this game is going to be decided on the turnover differential.
Yeah. So Jimmy, if I had to guess, I would say Mahomes is going to be the highest scoring player in this game from a fantasy perspective or DFS perspective or whatever. I mean, I'd have to bank on that. I think Mostert has some appeal, but they've rotated. You think who they're going to roll with that running back, and then Tevin Coleman was the man at one point. Then it went to Mostert. Then it was Breda. Then it's
and Ricky James.
So Mostert. Yeah, Wilson could have 2 TDs tomorrow or today. But I think I like Hill a lot. I think Damian Williams is going to have a tough time running the ball.
How do you think? So I find this one I find super interesting. Between Kelsey and Kittle because they're 2 of the best tight ends in the NFL.
Yeah. The 2 best,
in
my opinion.
Yeah, but they're also very different players. Kelsey is more of the wide receiver pass catching type tight end. And
Yeah.
Kittle's more of an all-around tight end. He can block. He likes to run block.
I think Kittle does okay. I think he has a pretty decent game. I think Kelsey could have a decent game as well. I don't think. I think Kittle is more of a shot to like go crazy than Kelsey against that defense. But I will say this. So I did say it come down to defense or special teams. The other factor for Kansas City is the 49ers have struggled against running quarterbacks. They've struggled against Lamar. They've struggled against Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, which was a shock when they did struggle to when they played
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, so if Mahomes does run a ton and they actually implement that, attack, then I think that there is a shot for KC to do some damage. But I feel like the momentum's with both teams, so it is really, really hard to guess. And it's the one Super Bowl where I really, and it sounds weird, but I'm more of a fantasy-oriented person than an actual team person. I started playing fantasy football before I really even loved the NFL. Like I literally got dragged in, it was like 1992 or 1993, dragged into a room with 10 dudes that were playing Tecmo Bowl. And we literally drafted our teams off of, it was like, I don't know, it was like April or May or something. And so football wasn't going on. And we drafted our teams and we simulate each week. And that's how I got into fantasy football, believe it or not. And so I got practice, drafting players and then simulating and seeing what Tecmo Bowl thought these guys were going to do. And then so I was ready to go year one. So that was 1992, 1983. I forget what I was even saying on that. We're talking about
how you were a fan of fantasy before you got into the NFL.
Yeah. So this is the first year where I actually would love to see both of these teams win. And while I'm rooting for Mahomes because fantasy-wise I'm most invested in him, I'm a super big fan of Mahomes. He was my number one overall bold prediction in 2018 when he was not even he was like a double-digit drafted player in 2018. He was my number one bold prediction. So I'm real biased right now toward Mahomes, probably for the rest of his time in the NFL, because I was like, dude. What a great year I had because of that guy.
So I'm the same way because with 2 years ago with Tyreek, he played the last 4 games of the season prior to that, and that was it. And I was telling people he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver, and they thought I was out of my mind.
Yeah. So I'm a little biased toward Mahomes just regardless of what's going on, who they're playing, what game it is, But if the 49ers win it, I'll be so happy. Because I love to see either of these teams win it. I think they both deserve it. Like if either one was playing the Patriots, I'd be rooting against the Patriots. They've got enough trophies. So I'm excited for either of these teams. Yeah. I would have been a little bit more excited. Earmuffs to all my 49er faithful out there.
I'm one of them.
I would have been more excited if it was Green Bay versus the Chiefs or Green Bay versus the Ravens. It just would have been it would have been like a 45 to whatever score.
Yeah, that's true.
Now we're looking at defense is cool, defense wins championships, but fantasy wise it's a little bit of a
and fans always want to see a shootout.
Yeah, a little bit of a kick to the nuts when you're like 10-0 at halftime for a fantasy guy. You're just like, I'd like to see a little bit more. Maybe I need to go play Tecmo Bowl right now is what I'm going to say at halftime.
Yeah, sim Tecmo Bowl at halftime and see who it says will win between the 49ers and Chiefs.
Did you ever play Tecmo Bowl 1?
Absolutely.
Okay, you just go up and down the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was the move, dude.
I want to know who it thinks will win the game. Was Joe Montana in that?
I believe so, yeah. I remember playing Joe Montana.
But on what team?
Or was it Steve Young then? I don't know.
I believe Steve Young was on the 49ers, but I don't know if it was when Joe Montana was on Kansas City.
Yeah, 1992, 93, you're taxing my mind there. I don't know that I can go back that far to be exact. I can barely tell you, what happened in 2004.
Right. All right, and now last thing before I let you go, man, who's winning this game?
Man, I think I'm frozen.
Oh, his phone froze.
My phone froze. didn't get the answer out of me so that nobody can come back and yell at me.
Oh, don't worry.
Harass me.
Don't worry.
Because if I
Everyone's
say
going to be
the
doing a
Chiefs-
prediction, and I'm going
If
to
I say
be
the
wrong,
Chiefs,
I'm sure.
I'm gonna get blasted by all my 49er followers. And then, if I had to guess, man, I'll put it this way. I'm rooting for Mahomes, my boy Mahomie, but I think in the end, the 49ers will win.
All right, that's fair.
But that doesn't mean I'm not. So, I think that's how it's going to happen, but I'll be rooting for Mahomie.
I completely understand. There's so many times where I see a team playing where I'm like, yeah, if I'm betting on this game, I'm going to bet on this team, but I'm not rooting for that team. I want that team to lose.
Yeah.
So
my mind is, you know what though? This whole playoff has been crazy, like from Tennessee to the Vikings. That means that the Chiefs are going to win. So, Chiefs win by 10.
Oh man.
And because like I said, don't worry about Mahomes' knee. He's gonna probably dislocate his kneecap. Thanks a lot.
Right. Yeah, jinx the whole thing.
I guarantee his kneecap will never come out again in this.
All right, well, I appreciate you making time for us to come on the show, man. And as soon as you announce this next thing, I'll be sure to help spread your next big news. And I look forward to winning that 96-man league.
Yeah, good luck. All right, man. Appreciate it.
Welcome, Robbie. Thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate it. It's Super Bowl Sunday. There's no day on earth that I enjoy more than this day. Unless I just won a fantasy championship, then that day is better. How you doing, man?
Wait, really?
Well, I mean, on average, yeah, because the 49ers aren't in the Super Bowl most times. So
Ooh, I thought you were going to say the 49ers aren't going to win. That was almost...
Well, I'm not... I mean, I can't ruin the prediction yet, Perry. We still got a couple more segments, so...
I know. I was going to get mad at you.
But, Robbie, before we even get into this, what you got coming up, Robbie? You got some big stuff.
Yeah. I just want to, put this out there. Make sure you guys, right after here on Clock Management Fantasy Football, you head over to the Rumboyz Fantasy Network. We are going to have a big day lined up for you guys. I understand that Clock Management is going to be stopping through, so there's already one reason to check us out. But we're going to be discussing everything from Super Bowl food to NFL draft giveaways sponsored by Clock Management Fantasy Football, live musical performances with artists such as the QC, Clutch Packs, and recently trending and budding on YouTube, Shaman Noel. We got a lot going on. It's going to be exciting. A couple of different fantasy analysts coming through, a couple that are actually even already featured on this show here. So you're not going to want to miss it. 2 p.m. Mountain Time, 4 p.m. Eastern. It's going down.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for your show as well, Robbie. Like, I love it because, like, we both, we both talk football, but we do it in such different ways. So it's like, it's still makes it interesting. You could watch either one of these channels.
Keeps it fresh. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And also with that, I want to state that it's a pleasure working with you on this. For those that don't know, Justin has practically he practically co-produced our kickoff party, and I couldn't have done it without you guys over at Clock Management. So I appreciate both of you. Yeah, all the promotion, all the marketing. I know that stuff is very hard and strenuous on you guys.
I won't take a lot of credit. Justin puts in a lot of work, so
yeah. I
just drink beer and answer questions. So
and that's all,
you, Perry.
That's all I need you to do, Perry.
Right on.
Especially the drink beer part. I mean, it's Super Bowl Sunday, so we're gonna need to even kick that up a notch. It will be strenuous.
Yeah, you talked me into it.
Right, let's go.
Yes. So Perry? What are we covering?
So with Robbie, we're going to cover 2 different fantasy positions, I suppose. One of them is defense, so there's a lot of positions involved there, but defensive scoring. And then we're going to cover running backs in the second part of the segment. So let's just jump right into it with the defenses. Robbie,
Yes,
you can give me your take here on Kansas City or San Francisco. I'll let you pick.
I say let's start off with San Fran here.
Yeah.
San Fran, very interesting defense coming into this game, and when we look at what's going to be happening on the offensive side of the ball, San Fran is a defense that oftentimes, and I'm going to try and keep this as layman terms as possible, and if I'm not being layman's terms, then let me know. They run a huge cover 3 scheme. Okay, what that is a zone scheme. What you're going to be wanting to look to do if you are Kansas City in order to find an opportunity to put points on the board is you want to look for the soft spots in the zone. Now, if we take a look back at, I want to say about week 10ish, week 10ish. I can't remember exactly when Kansas City had faced the Chargers. The Chargers, a team that is known for running this cover 3 scheme, giving them the nickname last year they had, the Jack Boys. The Chiefs executed very well against this. One of the things that we notice Kansas City pull off is having that tight end release, usually on some sort of a wheel route coming off of the edge block. I look for Kansas City to have to use that in order to defeat the 49ers defense, but the 49ers defense as well, with that cover 3, they do so many different things and send you so many different looks with the linebackers. I know that he's listed questionable, but Quan Alexander is going to be a huge impact into this game. You can disguise with a player of his caliber. You can disguise a lot of different coverages. He's able to prowl in the defense. In layman's terms, what prowl means, he's moving pre-snap to kind of trick the quarterback whether or not he's going to blitz or maybe stay home. Stay home means in his zone back there at the middle linebacker position. Now, another thing that they can look to that Kansas City needs to look to do in the passing game in order to prevent that cover 3 that cover 3 scheme from really blowing things up is they need to keep things short yardage. What the cover 3 does, it prevents you from going downfield. Okay, so attacking Richard Sherman is not in your best bet. We saw what happened at the last seconds against the Packers. Richard Sherman picks it off and practically damn near seals the game, right? So with that being said, with that being stated, you got to look out for that. Keep things very short within about the 10 to 20 yard range in terms of the passing game. You want to run the ball a lot. Now, what happens if you run the ball when you're Kansas City? This defense can move so quick, can change that cover 3 into a man scheme. 49ers pretty much do one of two things. It's cover 3 or we're going to play man up. This is the opportunity, if you're Kansas City, to where you go in and this is where you put up points. The second that you see them line up in man, now you want to hit Tyreek Hill. And in that situation, you want to have Tyreek Hill hit you with the post route, hit you with the go route. Yeah. Pretty much your big 30, 40-yard gain route.
Yeah, and I think I think the key with that too is if like you said, the 49ers hit you with a bunch of different looks from that. So it'll be if Patrick Mahomes can read the defense to understand whether they're in a zone or a man, that's going to be the key to their success, I think.
Yeah. And with Mahomes, just to touch on that, I don't doubt the fact that he's going to be able to read the defenses. This is one of the highest level performing quarterbacks in the NFL, hands down. Also with Mahomes, you have to look out for those things that he throws at you. I don't know if you guys saw today on Twitter. I think it was on Twitter or either Instagram. Mahomes already practicing no looks and multiple reps of no look passes and throwing them, threading the needle.
Yeah.
With that being said, I mean, you got to look for that. I think that what the Chiefs are coming in off of some of the things that we've seen that the media has released from practices. The Chiefs are going to come in here and they're going to try and utilize a lot of that, a lot of the trickery to play with the DB's minds.
I think definitely the X factor isn't going to be Tyreek Hill. I personally believe that. I think Tyreek, I don't think he's going to have a very big game at all, to be completely honest with you. I think it's going to be Travis Kelce and Damian Williams. And, Travis Kelce is going to find that soft spot in between the zone, just like you were talking about. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to be key, right? If they can open that up and then those swing passes to Damian Williams, that's where they're going to win this game. So I think you're exactly right that they're not going to attack Richard Sherman, even though I don't think Richard Sherman's very good. I'm just saying it.
No, I think Richard Sherman's lost a step, but I think he's super intelligent and he understands what's happening and puts himself in good position a lot of times. So I don't think he's as fast or like as in the physical condition that he was, 2-3 years ago. But I think that he's really smart and understands what's happening. So he's able to still like read plays very well. And with the coverage they run there and him getting a lot of times getting safety help over the top, he doesn't need to be fast. He just stays in a good position. And we did see, I believe it was last game, him get beat deep when he didn't have that safety help.
Yeah.
And he actually, what's ironic about that play that he got beat deep in, by the way, Darrell Revis would love your take just then. That play that he got beat deep in, they were actually lined up in the cover 3. Now it's very rare that happens.
But the safety didn't cover over top.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, I think for the 49ers, another key to their success here for them is getting that pressure. Like I think D Ford and Nick Bosa are going to need to keep Mahomes running, keep him moving, and so he can't make those short passes and read the field.
If you're D Ford, you're Nick Bosa, mainly Bosa. I feel like Bosa is the real impact key piece on this 49ers defense. If he was not a rookie, he would automatically be Defensive Player of the Year. Okay. With Bosa, he has to, once that motor is going, he has to make sure that first hit on Mahomes it's a good hit, it's a clean hit, and you got to make sure that you put him on his ass. You got to let him know this is Super Bowl. I'm here. I'm a rookie. This is now my NFL. Bosa has to be the one on that defense to take the game over if the 49ers are wanting the win. Now on the Chiefs side.
Yeah.
Perry, did you have anything? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say the 49ers, I've with all the dominant defensives that we've seen in the history of the NFL, I don't think that they overpower anybody in particular. I think what the 49ers have done really well is to bend but not really break all season. Their completion percentage against them and that sort of thing, not like overwhelmingly insane. It's just the fact that they do enough to win and they do enough to control that clock. So I think that might not work against the Chiefs. The Chiefs with this explosive offense, I think this whole game might be decided in that first quarter. And if the Chiefs can start fast and not pull what they pulled against the Texans, I think that there's just no way that the Niners are going to keep up.
I think that goes both ways though too, because I don't think that the Chiefs are going to be able to pull if they go down by that much. I don't think they'll be able to come back in the same way that they did against the Texans.
No, yeah, that's my exact point. Is there a team that's capable? Absolutely, and that team is the Chiefs.
Absolutely, yeah. If any team can do it, it's the Chiefs.
Yeah, betting man. I don't know if I'm putting if somebody told me I had to put my next paycheck down on them coming back in the same way against the Niners, I don't think I'd do it. I don't think I'd be able to do it.
I was gonna say, Perry, I will say I think the key to winning football games is good defense and clock management.
Yeah, I knew he was going for that. Bro, I'm so inside your head, Justin. Gosh.
All right.
But
let's jump into the Chiefs.
Yeah,
let's jump into the Chiefs.
I'm gonna hit the Chiefs real quick. Justin. We can. But real with the Chiefs, hold on. I want to hit this real quick because I've been sleeping on the Chiefs defense. I didn't realize they have been doing as good as they have this year. I have a friend of mine who's like a diehard Chiefs fan, and I was talking a lot of crap to him. And then I started like actually going through their stats, and I'm like, oh wow, they were not that bad. Especially once Matthew got there, they really picked it up. Sack-wise, they're not far behind the 49ers in sacks on the season. And they've been doing a lot better against the against the pass and the run since Matthew got there.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. That's actually one of the things that I was going to hit on. The Chiefs defense, they're going to be relying on two souls on that side to get the job done. Okay, and that is going to be Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger. Honey Badger don't give a quack. And then also, more importantly, Frank Clark. What Frank Clark has managed to do pretty much within the last 5 to 7 weeks of the season, 7 to 5 weeks of the season, has really been what has put the Chiefs defense over the top, especially when we talk in terms of sacks. I believe just within the last, he's averaging 5.5 sacks in the last 3 games alone, somewhere around there. I don't have it in front of me. I tend to try not.
He had 4 sacks in their last game.
4. There you go. Yeah. So 4. Yeah, 4 in the last. Yeah. So yeah, about 5.5. I think that he's averaging. You're going to need him to have that motor running. Clark went into the last game against the Tennessee Titans completely fearless of Derrick Henry. Had no problems tackling him. Had no problems going for him. We need that same thing. Here's why.
I'm gonna piggyback on that real quick. The fact that they stopped Derrick Henry so effectively makes me not afraid of Raheem Mostert whatsoever. And we'll talk about the running backs in a moment. But that point right there, I mean, that's a good point. The
Exactly.
Derrick Henry point.
So, and actually, I'll get into the why when we get into the running backs. Actually,
Yeah.
So I mean that has to seriously be a thing. Also, what I think is the key piece for this Kansas City Chiefs defense, Justin, get ready to hate me. Make Jimmy G beat you with his arm.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Yes.
But that means that you now have to redesign blitz packages. Do not send Mike, Will, or Sam. So your linebacker core, your middle, your strong side linebacker, your right side linebacker, or your weak side, keep those guys home. If they're going to send them in on a blitz, they're blitzing for a running back.
Yeah.
You're not blitzing. You're not blitzing. Don't touch Jimmy G. Make him, unless he's standing there back there with too much time and it's a clear sack, you see that running back doesn't peel out, go for it. Then you put pause on Jimmy G. If it's an all-out, clearly it's a pass formation. If they have no one lined up in the backfield, then you sack Jimmy G. As long as there's a running back there, you're going to go get your hands on the running back first if you're Kansas City. That blitz is designed to stop Mostert, to stop Coleman, even Wilson. If Wilson's back there in the red zone, we already know what he does in the red zone.
Yeah.
So you got to account for those pieces. You never know who's really going to be the guy in that San Fran backfield. So I feel like if you're Kansas City, all blitz schemes on the quarterback are completely off unless it's a clear all-out passing formation. Unless they go with the overload formation, don't touch Jimmy G. Make him throw the ball.
Yeah. Just for sake of time here, we're gonna move on, but I think it's clear that the Niners are the favorite defense here, but I don't think it's quite as far apart as everybody's assuming it is. The Chiefs, the Chiefs can ball on defense for sure.
How's it going, everybody? We're here with Fantasy Couch, back here with Fantasy Couch. I guess he was on our show a couple weeks ago. We appreciate you coming back on, man.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and so we're going to be talking the Super Bowl wide receivers on both sides on this segment. So I just want to get some your input. I know you're a Niner fan as well. So I guess we'll each go through some wide receivers and how we think they're going to do from each team. You want to kick it off with let's start with Kansas City. What you think about their wide receivers and how they're going to do in this game?
Kansas City. Well, first of all, it's great being on. And last time we had a couple good debates, couple pointless ones that I enjoyed quite a bit. And now it's the big one. So Kansas City. I mean, I feel like everyone when you watch them, the wide receivers, they're good, but I feel like everyone is kind of made as far as the offense, especially receivers, and I could, of course, include tight end and running back as a receiver as well. It's all because of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. And when we saw Patrick Mahomes go down, backup quarterback Matt Moore did pretty good too. But I think it's all offensive line, Andy Reid, the whole thing. So, um, the wide receivers they're really good, but that's how I think what makes them is the offensive scheme and just as everybody makes everyone else. So, number one, is this what you want me to do? Number one, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I got like the least analysis about him, I guess. I mean, he's super elite. He's good. I think he's one of, I'm playing a little bit of DFS, which is a little risky. I mean, I even play a little bit DFS on Pro Bowl, which is stupid. It was the first time I won this week. I do it kind of to get the bonuses, like they're like, play every week or like play this week. You get some bonuses, some sites
and
offer.
you just got to do it anyway because there's no other football going on.
I guess. I mean, to be honest, I would have watched it much less if I didn't play DFS.
Yeah.
And end up winning $3. So, actually, it kept me into it a little bit. I was like, all right, let's go. Devontae Adams came through last minute, and I had him on my team, and $3 profit, baby.
Do you think Tyreek will struggle against that defense, or I mean, Richard Sherman's coming off that torn ACL. You think he'll be able to contain Tyreek?
What are you talking about? I mean, you talking about old injuries?
Yeah, he's back from the injury, but I mean, he's lost. Some people say he's lost a step in his speed. So
yeah, I mean,
and plus it's Tyreek.
He's not in his prime anymore, but he's still an elite cornerback. So it's not like that's there, but it's not like it's bad. You know what I mean? Like, of course. I think it's going to be pretty even. So I think Tyreek Hill, I would say, is your best bet to beat the 49ers defense. I think Kelsey would work really underneath, and, of course, Damian Williams really underneath. So I think Tyreek Hill is going to be the best bet. He is pretty multifaceted. He can do a lot of things, jet sweep, this and that. Andy Reid's going to probably throw some crazy stuff out there. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, Tyreek Hill, I think that's the best bet. So and we just got to wait and see. This is too, I like talking about my Niners or this and that. Like, people sometimes, this is the mistake people make, like just the average person, they talk about teams like they suck. Like, because people, my friends talk to me, Niner fans talking to me about the Niners. I'm like, look, we're not the New York Giants. If we're the New York Giants, we would talk about, fire the coach and use Saquon right and get an O-line. And, these two teams don't have really any issues. So it's like, we need to do this more, and Kyle Shanahan's learned. I mean, yes, these are all like normal things, but it's like we don't have to dwell on these. Kyle Shanahan has learned. Every coach has learned from that catastrophe of a Super Bowl. Yeah. I just watched a YouTube video that they tried it 2 times. Once one dude played Madden and one dude simulated just on his own, and if the Falcons took a knee every time after they got the 25-point lead in the third quarter, would they have won? And in both simulations, both video game and on paper, the Falcons still got a W if they took a knee every time. So I learned from that.
Yeah.
I mean, every coach learned from that. Of course, Kyle Shanahan learned from this. He's not 2 bozo coaches, or 2 like we, I mean, Sean McVay had a really, that was a bad moment last year. Like, I don't think either coach or either team's going to be that bad and score 3 points or the Broncos. Remember when they faced the Seahawks and it was over right when they did that shotgun snap?
Oh God.
Yeah.
It was so off. I was like, what am I watching? They could have played the circus music.
Yeah, I was in Afghanistan staying up till 3 a.m. to watch that. And I was like, oh, no. Perry, I want to get you in on this, too. What do you think about Kansas City's receivers?
I think everything that Couch is saying is spot on. I think Tyreek Hill has the greatest chance to beat that secondary.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a guarantee. and by any means or any stretch of the imagination. I think that Kansas City's going to have to get more creative than just bombing it to Tyreek or bombing it to Sammy Watkins, right? I think they're going to have to get more creative to beat this 49er defense, and I think they know that, right? Like, they're not stupid.
Yeah.
They're not stupid. It's not like, oh, they're not planning on it, right? They've been watching tons of film. I think Travis Kelce is going to have a big day. He's going to have a lot of targets. I think Damian Williams is going to have a lot of targets out of the backfield. They're going to have to get more creative than just, Tyreek Hill outrunning people. But if you want me to pick a wide receiver that I think is going to find the end zone for Kansas City, I think it's probably Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, so I feel like on their side of the ball, Tyreek Hill's probably the only one I trust. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if anyone else does. But he's the one guy on their team where I'm like, yeah, if I got to bet, I'm going with Tyreek.
Yeah, Sammy Watkins has had a pretty decent postseason, but
he's known to vanish.
I mean, he was hardly even here all season. Let's be honest. He scored those 3 touchdowns in week 1 and then didn't score again in the regular season.
Well,
so
he is a lizard person, and I think he might be chameleon, and he is just blending in, and Mahomes couldn't find him. So
yeah, possibly. Right now, Sammy Watkins, when I'm looking at consensus rankings, Sammy Watkins is number 3 overall in the game. I'm not sure that means a whole lot to me. I don't know if I subscribe to that notion of Sammy Watkins being ranked that high. I wouldn't fall into that trap. I wouldn't recommend other people fall into that trap either.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on to the San Francisco wide receiver. I think this one.
Can we talk about all the other wide receivers? I didn't know.
Oh yeah. So
just
Mecole
really quick,
Hardman.
So number. This is snap wise. You got number 1 Tyreek Hill, and then you got number 2 is Sammy Watkins. Was compare, I guess, to Brandon Cooks. Just came out. I mean, so you said week 1 and then week 20. 2 good games, then in between not good. And then number 3 is actually Demarcus Robinson, and he doesn't do a lot. He's not a big play guy, but he's actually the 3rd wide receiver because Hardman's the sexier one, the one that gets bigger plays. But he actually doesn't line up a lot in the wide receiver spot. It's just like when he's there, it could be a big play or it could be a jet sweep or a trick play. And I think they're going to be using him and Tyreek at the same time. And I don't know. I know that he's going to try something, and that's just the first thing that came to my mind. Andy Reid, I'm talking about. They probably try both of them. So those are the 4 wide receivers. Because I think people aren't talking about Demarcus Robinson, but in 3 wide receivers, that's actually the guy. He's just not, as big of a target because Sammy Watkins gets more snaps than him. But gosh, Sammy Watkins, he gets like 4, 5, 6, 7 fantasy points per game,
and sometimes 0.
Season. Yeah, it's horrible. But Mahomes is back. Mahomes didn't do that well this year, but he's fully back. Like he's back to
his prime
MVP form. Yeah, he's back. Like and he could be better next year. Like than he was 2018 season.
And I think they may rotate Sammy and Tyreek and Mecole on the same side to tire out the defense. Just have them sprinting. People try and keep up with them.
Yeah. Well, for sure.
But yeah, I like that you mentioned Robinson because he doesn't get mentioned much. You hear a lot about Mecole because he's, like you said, sexier name. But on the San Francisco side of the ball, I feel like this is a lot more interesting because you have a couple wide receivers that I think could be the guy for the day. We got Emmanuel Sanders and Deebo Samuels, who I think are like the 2 main ones. And Bourne has been doing pretty good too. And a lot of times they look for him on 3rd down.
Yeah.
So I think that's someone no one's mentioned.
Yeah, go ahead, Couch.
Yeah, Bourne's like a kind of like a touchdown guy. 2 targets, 2 touchdowns, or 4 targets, 2 touchdowns, or 2 targets, 1 touchdown. He's like that, or third down. He's a quantity over quality. Quality, not really quantity guy. And then it's been fun because when Sanders came in, he was the guy, but he showed Debo. If you look at the stats, Debo is night and day since Sanders came.
Absolutely.
And word is Sanders showed him the ropes. You know how everyone says the veteran and this and that, but I mean, have we really seen it like this fast, like literally overnight? Because everyone says, "Oh, we need a veteran to do this," and usually the team sucks an entire year. Next year when that happens, but in this case, you get Sanders, and then the whole wide receiver core now is the real deal. Because before it sucked. And I wish Jalen Hurd was healthy, man, because I think that was another underrated.
Do you think Sanders will ever mentor Pettis?
He might be Brandon. Add him to the Brandon Cooks list.
Right.
Yeah, Dante Pettis is gone.
I mean, he's so old. It just goes to show how good Shanahan is.
Yeah.
But that guy was. I mean, people.
That was our
really
number one
drafted
wide
this guy.
receiver. Yeah, going into the season, everyone thought that'd be the number one wide receiver for San Francisco.
Yeah.
I told people not to draft him, and I mean, people didn't want to listen. I don't know why people drafted him. And oh man, I mean, I didn't think it'd be this bad because I thought he was gonna be number 1 too. Just not, when people say number 1, it implies something. Nowadays, a lot of teams don't have a number 1.
Yeah, there's a lot of those teams with.
Yeah, Atlanta Falcons has a number 1, but look at I mean, seriously, look at the Browns.
Okay.
Jarvis Landry is the number 1.
The Vikings, the Rams.
Yeah, exactly. Vikings. There you go. You got 2. You got it's 1A, 1B, and then this year because of injuries mainly, 1A was Diggs.
Yeah, and Tampa Bay too. It's everywhere.
Oh, Tampa Bay's. Yeah, that's the most. Then we're going back to the Jameis Winston lore. 5K, 30-30. Yeah, that's another insane thing. But yeah, Tampa Bay exactly. That's like the perfect one because you have 2. That was like the craziest team. Yeah, some teams have a clear cut number 1, like Atlanta.
Yeah.
And, a few, but I mean the Niners we didn't think would happen, but now Debo's are clear cut.
Do you think
number
it's
1.
Debo Super Bowl day, or do you think for the wide receiver core at least, or do you think Sanders does better?
I play a lot of DFS, and DFS really helped me start my fantasy game. So I go by percentages.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say about 70 to 80%. So let's just say 75% chance. Yes, Debo Samuel is the guy. That's just how I go. You know what I mean? Like, of course he's the number 1. If you had to pick one guy out of them, you would pick Debo. But then you could see Debo not do that much and Sanders take over, and that's what's lovely about Shanahan. Might have Kittle.
Yeah, or Kittle or anyone.
Sometimes he has Kittle run 2 routes. Sometimes Kittle's the number 1 wide receiver, and sometimes Kittle is blocking on 90% of the plays. So you don't know what's going to happen for sure. Yeah, Kittle could lead the Niners in receptions and receiving yards, especially with his speed and his yak. You never know, but right now Debo is the number 1 guy for sure. So those are the 3. The 3 wide. Number 1 Debo, number 2 Sanders, and then number 3 Kendrick Bourne.
Man, I was looking at the stats just now, and Kendrick Bourne actually has the highest catch percentage on their team. He has the fewest targets outside of Pettis, but his catch percentage is in the 70s.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with Couch again. I think Debo's probably the guy. But there are the intangibles, it's hard to measure. Emmanuel Sanders has that within the experience, right? Obviously,
yeah.
He's been down this road before, and I think there's something to be said for that. But betting man, I got to put my money down. I'm gonna probably put it on Debo Samuels to do a little bit more work in this game. I do fall into the camp though that I think probably George Kittle is going to be the number 1 receiver on that team at the end of the day. But I mean, that's a tight end, right? We got to play tight ends and wide receivers in fantasy. So I'm going to lean Debo Samuels. Kendrick Bourne, I think, if he finds the end zone, wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't have a single catch. I probably wouldn't be all that surprised either, to be completely honest with you. So I think they're going to be playing catch up maybe a little bit here, or maybe trying to keep up a little bit. And I think they're going to probably have to use Deebo Samuel's speed a little bit more there.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely be throwing the ball more than they did last week.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think you're going to see more interaction or more action from the wide receiver core here for San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Debo's got to be their number one. But yeah, again, the veteran experience from Emmanuel Sanders is crucial to me. And I think that's something that could propel him to be the number one at the end of the day. But I mean, with the fact that I do think it may be a higher scoring game than most the games they've been in, they're going to look for Debo a lot.
Yeah.
And he doesn't go down when he gets tackled. His yards after catch are they're amazing.
Debo. That's all I gotta say.
Right.
He plays like that, man.
Yeah, he plays like Debo.
Especially last few weeks, you watch him play. I'm like, oh man, I really. When the Niners were drafting, I was like, man, I wanted Metcalf right there, but Debo was also one of my favorite wide receivers. I did a collaborate with this guy. He trains wide receivers and quarterbacks, but mainly quarterbacks. He played quarterback, so he's a quarterbacks coach, and he does a lot of videos like training quarterback. And he said, "Look at Deebo Samuel." I was like, "All right, I was like, I don't know about this guy. Let me see." And then the more I looked at it, the more I liked it. He's got just that overall skill. And then it's tough to know if that's going to translate. And then also the attitude and just how he plays is going to translate in the NFL, because these are grown men now. And it really did. I mean, he's Debo-ing people out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a script. Okay, so each coach is going to have a script. They've both been to Super Bowls. So, I mean, I'm just going to enjoy this game. And we don't know what's going to happen. They got a script. They got a game plan. They also both know that could all go down the pooper right away.
Yeah.
It always does. I mean, that's what makes good Super Bowls. You know,
Denver.
Yeah.
The first
Just
time, man.
Denver.
First time around. Not the second time around went to plan.
Yeah,
First time around, it was like, that was crazy, dude. First snap,
It
was like over.
Yeah.
But
Whole
we
change.
we see it most of the time. You know, I'd say the Eagles game. I mean, that was pretty insane. No one thought the game would score 100 points total. Falcons losing it. But also the Rams and Patriots. Both coaches are like, what's going on? 3-13. And Belichick had to make a play, had to make a drive to go score a touchdown, and that was huge. Just scoring that one touchdown was huge. So things will change, and then both coaches will change. Both coaches are very smart, and unexpected things are going to happen. So we have no clue. Maybe they do plan for Sanders and then make us look dumb. Oh, they know it's all Sanders, and then like something happens. And then it's Debo or Kittle, or I think they're gonna try to run, and I think that's the Chiefs' weakness, is defending the run. I mean, if I'm not even saying their defense is bad, but I mean, look, I think they're
that's the weakest point in that defense.
But that might not work.
Yeah, especially because that's what they're expecting.
Dude, that's the thing. It's a chess match that we're not playing in. You know what I mean? It's a chess match that we're not even in this. So maybe that's what that's what we're probably thinking. But maybe that's what that's what Andy Reid and Shanahan are thinking. But maybe they're not, and maybe that won't work. You never know.
And I think both these coaches are good at adapting at the half to what's happening. So I think the game plan in the first half is going to be completely different in the second half for both teams.
Both lost Super Bowls. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see who learned the biggest lesson. Yeah, I mean, dude, they're both really good, really smart. As a Niner fan, I like Shanahan and John Lynch. I'm like, dude, we got two. We got great GM, great coach, and now got a great defensive coordinator too.
Yeah. Moment of truth, though, Couch. Who's winning the Super Bowl?
I believe the Niners will win. I think they'll win by 7. But like I said, I mean,
Vegas doesn't even have this one. I think that right now it's at I think they got Chiefs as a 1-point betting favorite.
It opened up at 1.5. Some have it at 1-point favorite, which is basically a coin flip.
Yeah.
I think the Niners will win. I always lean more towards the better defense, and the Chiefs defense has been on fire though. They've been
Yeah,
just the way they
lately,
play.
the
Yeah.
last few weeks.
Regular season two, what was it? Probably week 10, week 11,
Yeah.
around there. They just had a transformation too. But hey man, how the Niners ran it last week against the Packers, that was epic. That broke like 2.5 records. That game. I mean, that you have to note that. Like people have to note that Eric Dickerson was like the one guy ahead of Raheem Mostert. Has to note it. Like this, you have to like he really did break 2.5 records. Like that was crazy. So you got to note that.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't think anyone would guess that Mostert was going to be the player to break a record like that going into the season.
Right on.
Man,
All right.
football.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Couch, for coming on for the Super Bowl show. Second time, man.
For sure.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. This is the last segment of our Super Bowl show, so we had to bring in the big dogs, you know. We got Nicky Snacks with us from Big Dogs Gotta Eat. Nicky, I'm gonna give you a chance first. Where can people find you, and what are you guys up to?
Yeah, so snacks_BDGE is where you can find me on Twitter. It's where I spew my nonsensical words all the time, as usual. That's the thing I do. But we record our podcast every week, and we send it out Friday morning on the BDGE channel on YouTube, podcast, Apple, iTunes, whatever you guys find it on, Spotify, all stuff like that. We're getting into the off-season content with the rookies and the new mock drafts, redrafts, all that kind of stuff. So the off-season is always better than the regular season, in my opinion, if you ask me. So
yeah, I live for it.
It's literally like last year that was our first full off-season doing it all, and I tell you, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
So it can only get better from here, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on the show. I know we've had a nightmare doing this. Like, it's been a crazy experience for us. This is our first full season. And so it's been crazy, like scheduling stuff. I know you're super busy. We're busy, and we put together the show with all these people. Like it's been insane, man. I appreciate you taking time to come here.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. Like, you guys have been killing it. This whole channel is it's blowing up more than I even thought. Like, just checking you out from afar, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 it's blowing up like this. So I couldn't be happier to be on. So thank you, Justin. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. So, I mean, we've covered every position. We've covered every analytical angle of this game already on the show. So we're going to now the last thing. I mean, we got just the most important things left here. We got some prop bets here. So let's get into them.
The beauty of the Super Bowl is the prop bets.
Right. What I love about prop bets too is like it keeps even your friends who are there at the Super Bowl who don't even watch football like every game or whatnot. It makes it fun for them, the wives, like everyone can do it.
It keeps them interested.
Yeah.
If you're doing Super Bowl boxes, I have a lot of friends who are not like diehard football fans, but they do Super Bowl boxes, and then they bet on the prop. Like that's what they do. And I know the props that you're going to bring up is the exact ones they always bet on. So
right. Me and my friends are actually betting with shots. So like you lose the bet, you're doing shots.
How do I get on that?
I'll hit you up. All right, man. So the first one I got for you is how long will Demi Lovato take to sing the national anthem? Over under 2 minutes.
So she has had a few national anthem experiences.
Yeah.
And if you clock them at the time, I've seen 2 go under and 1 go over. I am going to go with the over, and for a few simple reasons. One, she's a beautiful girl, so this is her spotlight. She wants to make sure it lasts. 2, she's been out of the game for a while. She went into her rehab. She is back from the dead, quote unquote. God bless her. I'm so happy for her. I think this is going to be her comeback moment where she just expresses and she absolutely outlandishes all of the verses of the national anthem. That's why I'm going over.
Man.
Granted, the numbers may say go under, but I'm going over. I could see her belting everything and going over.
I can't agree more, man. I think like she is going to take full advantage of this giant stage she's on.
Yep.
I mean, I would. So
no joke. It's like her comeback story. It's like full circle right here. It's her comeback story.
Yeah.
So boom, might as well milk it.
All right, now this one, I mean, tons of analysts going into it. Heads or tails on the initial coin toss?
Yeah, I'm usually a heads guy, but for some reason I've been itching towards tails.
Yeah,
tails never fail.
You can't do no Seahawks fails either.
Oh God. You know, it's great. It's great you bring that up because that is still one of the most unbelievable things in the history of football. But I am going to go. I'm going to go tails. I think it's I'm on a podcast called Fade the Public, so I'm pretty sure the public is going to bet heads. So I'm going to go tails. I'm going to go tails.
Man,
I think this is the year it's tails. So I got nothing outside of that, outside of fading the public, doing the thing that I am signed up to do. That's exactly what I'm doing, and I'm going tails.
I agree with you. My logic here is, like I said, I'm betting shots on the Super Bowl. So we're doing, like, if everyone else going heads, I'm going tails just so if I want to win and I want you to lose, so you're doing shots and I'm not. Simple as that. Okay.
Simple as that. And I promise you, we're gonna talk after this. I want to get on this game. I got to be in a shot game.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you I'll send you the checklist here. Send it back to me filled out. I'm gonna hit you up and we'll do it during Super Bowl.
I am all in. I will make sure I videotape every shot I have to take.
Yes. Okay. What was my next one here? We got. I'm gonna hold this one because I think it's the best one for last. So, I had. Oh, the color of the Gatorade. That's everyone's favorite. Classic.
Literally the classic of them all. The classic. And for me, I've checked the odds. I've checked the colors, and it's crazy, but purple is plus 600, which I don't think have you ever seen purple ever?
No.
Right. Why is it even an option? And it's 600? The value alone is like, sprinkle it.
Yeah.
Sprinkle it.
It makes you want to take. Yeah.
It makes you want, like, why it's even an option is mind blowing to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like my only thought. It's almost like
it's in your head now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like trying to take the analytical approach that like a PFF does, and I'm thinking, okay, why is this even an option to me? So I've never seen that before, but yet here it is staring me in the face as an option at plus 600. Why not sprinkle on it? Why not?
I love it.
Why? It's a value purpose only.
Yeah, and I was saying earlier too on another show I did. I love this one because like the whole game, I'm trying to look at the color of the Gatorade every time it goes to a sideline shot. I'm like, is that yellow? Is that orange?
Those Gatorade cups that they're trying to drink.
Yeah.
You're trying to find a little. Yep.
But I'm going yellow. I got to go yellow. I feel like yellow is like your best bet here. I feel like that's your standard Gatorade color. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that might be because I'm in the military and they only, like, when we go places, they only give us three options, and yellow's one of them, and it's always the last one left. So anywhere you go, there's yellow Gatorade.
A little bit of bias.
Okay.
Makes sense though. I mean, honestly, the yellow part is probably going to have to be my second best bet, just based off the military aspect and my respect for the troops and you and everybody. I pick purple with value, but
I mean,
maybe it's the year of the yellow.
it's there's a lot to this, you know. You don't want to take it too lightly, is what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Right. No, it's a big bet. Everybody's favorite bet. So.
Yeah. All right, and then last one, man, for the prop bets here, and I got another question after this too. But last prop bet, over under for how many wardrobe changes J-Lo has at halftime. That we got the number set at 2.5.
Oh, it's so tough. It's so tough. You know what? She is an attention whore. She's an attention whore. We all know that. Very well deserving, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind giving her my attention, so.
Neither do I. I'm going to go over. I think that the whole mix of her and Shakira, J-Lo's going to have a few minutes to change every once in a while. So I'm going to go over 2.5. And I will also go over 1.5 underwear changes on my end. So
yeah, I mean, I think both of those are safe bets. No, I completely. And you got to remember, it's not just J-Lo. It's J-Lo and Shakira. So I mean, the underwear bet, I think you could even set that higher. That could be at a 3.
100%. It's
probably. And I'm still taking the over.
Probably a 3.5. The hook might kill you, but 3.5. That's it. And I'll tell you, growing up, Shakira was my number one.
Mine too. I mean, her hips don't lie. So,
dude, I don't want to say it out loud because I know, but she was the first girl I ever.
So, I think
dead honest truth. Dead honest truth.
Man, that's some good insight we got here, though. Like, man, I think I'm a little bit older than you, so I don't quite. But I mean, I'm not gonna say that never happened either, though. So
at some point it did.
Man. I had posters up. I had like a poster of Shakira up in my bedroom. Never owned a CD of hers. Never listened to a song of hers at that time. But I had a poster up.
Oh, never.
And J-Lo. I had both of them.
Dude, we probably have the same. We have probably the same Shakira poster. And let me tell you a quick story about J-Lo. I was at the Yankee Red Sox game, last year, and it was Sunday night game, and obviously her boo boy A-Rod covers the game for Sunday Night Baseball. And my buddy got us a suite, and we had like our own suite, yada, 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 all this shit. It was really great. And out of like left field, literally a baseball reference, out of left field, we see this lime green woman. Like she's dressed in lime green. Yes. She sticks out like no tomorrow. And then you see, you look at the butt.
Yeah, you have to.
And it's literally from boom. It's not even in the. It's like it's right here, and we're like, holy shit, it's J-Lo. So we're yelling at J-Lo. We're like, J-Lo. I love you. Made in Manhattan, my favorite movie. Blah 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 blah. I don't even think I've seen Manhattan. And she's waiting, like, hey, how you doing? Had to have been the highlight of her year. Look at these jerk offs saying hi to me in the bleachers. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. But it was so funny, and we probably would have been able to get a selfie with her at the end, when everybody was walking out. But I got us kicked out because I got into a fight with a Red Sox fan, and that was.
Oh God.
I mean,
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Take a selfie with J-Lo or show your pride.
Yeah,
I showed my pride.
Yeah, sometimes you got to, I mean,
always.
I don't know. If it came down to getting the selfie with J-Lo, though, I probably would have pretended like I didn't know you so I could stay in there.
Yeah, my buddy tried it.
All right, I got one last question for you, though, man. All right, so it's the Super Bowl. Who's winning this?
So on our podcast, I've been saying, and I kid you not, since week 13, I've been saying the Chiefs. This is the Chiefs' year. For some reason, I've had it in me that it's Mahomes, it's Andy Reid's, like, I don't want to say swan song because he's going to be back next year and probably the years after that, but I just think it's Andy Reid's year. And as a diehard Giants fan, and Andy Reid being an Eagle, I hate rooting for it, but I I can't bet against the best quarterback in football.
Yeah, I know it's tough.
I love what the Niners are doing. Their D line almost like reminisce of like the Giants against the Patriots, where they just rush Tom Brady like no tomorrow. But it's Patrick Mahomes. They're scoring at will.
Yeah, Tom Brady's not exactly mobile, and Mahomes
exactly. Exactly. Like if they come up with pressure up the middle, does it really matter? Mahomes is just going to scramble outside and dump it off to Kelsey, who could go for 20 yards right off a clip.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to stick to my prediction that I've had for a few months now. I'm going Chiefs. Going Chiefs. And I'm sorry. I know you're Niners.
I get it. I get it. I'm also a football fan, though, so I get it.
I know. And listen. These are the two best teams in football by far.
Yeah.
We couldn't have asked for a better Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this Super Bowl. In my opinion, it's the best offense in the NFL against the best defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's just going to be exciting. And neither one, like the Chiefs defense isn't bad, and the 49ers offense isn't bad either.
They're very good.
Yeah. So I'm like, it's not like it's just the best offense against, the best defense. You also, they're both all around good. But I have a buddy at work. He's a diehard Chiefs fan. And literally since before this season started, last year he was complaining about how Dee Ford cost them a Super Bowl, he said, because he went off sides against the Patriots. And so then when the 49ers got him, I've literally been telling him since the moment that trade happened that Dee Ford was going to cost them 2 Super Bowls when he gets a strip sack in the Super Bowl for the 49ers on Mahomes. So
imagine that life being full circle right there, right?
Yeah, so I got to stick to that. I'm going to say the 49ers by 3. Strip sack, Dee Ford, Robbie Gould kicks a field goal to win.
Oh, see, you know what? I like that a lot. I really do. And if it's a 3-point game, like you said, then we have a great Super Bowl on hand.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have no doubt it's going to be a great Super Bowl no matter what. My boxes for my Super Bowl boxes, I have 8-0. So what I'd love is, Chiefs 38, Niners 30.
I wouldn't love that. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be drunk either way though. So it's just going to be whether I'm crying or I'm celebrating. I got a bottle of champagne ready to go. It's going to be a good game. Hopefully.
See, you're in a perfect spot. You got the champagne to celebrate, and then you could have the bottle of whiskey on the right for the pain.
Yep. I mean, either way, they're both getting drank, though. That's
exactly. You can't lose.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming on the show. I love watching your guys' show. By the way, I'm a big fan of it. It was you guys and fantasy footballers are two of the reasons why I started doing this. So I appreciate it, man.
I really appreciate it as well. And again, thank you for your service, and I'm so happy that we were finally able to put this together. I had an absolute blast doing this. I've already picked out my boner pants for the halftime show, so I'm glad you brought that up. And I would love to do it again in the future. This was a great time. Thank you so much, buddy.
For sure, man. Talk to you later.
Yep.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with us through the Super Bowl show. We really appreciate it. Unfortunately, part of Rumboyz interview got cut off. I'm not really sure what happened there, so I'm gonna go ahead and do their plug for them. Make sure you guys subscribe to them on YouTube. They have a Sportscaster account. It's at sportscaster.com/Rumboyz. Make sure you find them on there. They got Twitter, all social media. And most importantly, they got a show immediately after this that'll be starting up. So go ahead and go onto YouTube and type in Rumboyz. Go over to their channel and watch their Super Bowl pregame show, which I will also be a part of. So hop on there, and I'll see you guys over there. Thanks for joining us again, guys.